Monday, everybody. I'm about to go live with Christopher Witecki, and we're going to be talking about the astrological weather report, which is always super relevant. And I definitely invite you guys to attend every single week. We're here Mondays, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, or do the calculation where you're at in the world. And then Chris also has another show on Thursday. I have a show on here Wednesdays at noon Pacific time. And right now we are in Florida because we had a couple Miami events, which was amazing. And now there's another hurricane that's on the way here. Actually, everyone's getting food and water and gas, and we're bringing in the outdoor furniture. And so, Chris, if you're in the back room, someone's asking, am I going to drink pee? If you really want to see it, it's not that big of a deal, but that's not why we're here today. We're here to listen to Christopher. Collective intentions for calm seas and weather. Scotty's saying hurricane. Interdimensional creator saying prayers for Florida. Yeah, it's pretty crazy that it's coming from the west because hurricanes normally don't come out of the Gulf of Mexico towards Florida. And by crazy, I mean makes you wonder what's going on over here. But we're in Miami, so the main place where it's supposed to hit is Tampa. Yeah, I'm seeing you guys say what might be going on. Sending love from Scotland.
Hola!
How's it going in
Hey,
Palm
buddy.
Springs?
In Palm Springs, yeah. There we are.
Yeah.
Live. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, how's it going? We've got a lot of rain here and a hurricane coming. That's what's happening in the physical weather here.
Yes. And the zodiac weather, what do we have? Well, it's a little complicated. I mean, things are pretty intense right now everywhere, I'll say. Energetically, we have moved into Libra, and we moved into the teen degrees in Libra, which means we're in the place in Libra where it's how we relate to the world instead of how we relate to ourselves. That's the big change, right? And so it sounds like you guys, out in Florida is literally how you relate to Mother Earth, the world, right? Right now, literally, you're going to that literally with weather. So it's a little bumpy right now, I'd say, in lots of places because people have integrated their definition of what a good marriage is to themselves. So I think people know what they have to be themselves. But now all the relationships you've made in the world that were on a bad marriage, where you didn't consider yourself this way or didn't consider yourself that way, never considered your certain terms and conditions with this friendship or certain terms and conditions with this job. So now you're suddenly stuck in this situation where you realize that everything doesn't really serve you in the world you've created, the life you've created. Not if you really have learned to upgrade your life and know what your needs are. It's sort of like signing a contract and then learning about what you needed in the contract.
So you're mentioning that we're going in the teens of Libra, and the first 10 steps were about our relationship to ourself, right?
Right.
And can you just explain for the audience a little bit? Is this happening throughout all the zodiac signs? We're all going through a filter, like on all the zodiac signs. We just happen to be in Libra now, and that has to do with our relationships first with the self and then externally.
Okay, so yeah, really, we started this over the weekend. So you probably had some breakthroughs over the weekend because we went into the teens really starting Thursday night and Friday. We started to expand out. And at first, when you go in the teens, you just sort of go, okay, how's my life? It's just sort of this like exploration, 12. Like, you know, Saturday, we hit step 13, Saturday night to Sunday morning. And so what that means is that things started to get turbulent Saturday night, Sunday morning, where you realize, oh man, I think a lot's going to have to change. This isn't going to work the way it currently exists, right? And so there's been a lot of breakthrough, as we call it, when we realize, I don't think I belong at this bank anymore. Actually, that's literally what Sirius Joy said. We don't belong with our bank anymore. Like, our bank's going to struggle. We're like, we don't belong with them. So a lot of things like, we don't belong with them. I don't belong with this. I don't belong with this lousy haircut. You know what I mean? Actually, it's a new haircut. But the point is like, these things I don't belong with. And so kind of frustration going into today. Today's when it's really coming clear. You know, it's like, I definitely don't belong with this. I definitely don't belong with that. So today we're clarifying. And then tonight, as we go into tonight, we're like, I just want things to be happy again. And so we're starting to really think about, well, how do I make this right? That's what's about to happen after our show. So I don't have my step program in front of me without hanging up on you on Instagram, but I think it's going live around 2 or 3 in the afternoon as far as step 15 is concerned. And step 15 is the next Grandmaster relationship. It's the next 6. So the first 6 is your relationship to yourself. Step 15 is your relationship to others and relationship to the world. So 15, that 6 is that coming up.
Okay. And when you talk about time, is that just everyone's time where they are on planet Earth, or is this specific time zone?
No, actually, the way it happens is the entire Earth, because it's based on the Earth moving,
Right.
The entire Earth will move to the sector of space of step 15 Libra in like 4 hours from now. And so the entire Earth everywhere. So Australia will be asleep. So it'll happen, you know, and that's one thing we track at SiriusStar.com, which is a nightmare. Not really, but it's just a lot of work because we track it and then we translate it into, and in your town, it's this at this time. And in your town, it's in this, you know, we're constantly translating what time it is in your town. If you go to our homepage right now and it reads where you're located, it'll translate on the fly, you know, the step number in Australia versus step number in America, like what time that'll be in the time of the day. You know? Yeah. So we all go through the step change at the same time, which means the collective consciousness is wired together. And so there's a cosmic time, which is a step number. There's a cosmic time. And that basically comes down to, it's time to do this. It's time to do that. Right. And come step 15, it's time to find peace. All right. 15 is the combination of, I'm going to fix my hair, your heart and your mind. 5 is your mind and 1 is your heart. Okay. So the first thing that happens when you hit 15 is your heart wants one thing and your mind is like looking everywhere for it. Like, well, where is it? Well, how do I do this? Right. And one of the things we teach at Sirius Joy is like the mind needs to turn straight to the heart and say, well, what do you wish? What do you wish? What is your wish, heart? Because what happens is where people are amateur at this step number is that they think the mind goes running off in its own independent. You're fixing your hair too. We're just going to be like this. We're going to be a CoverGirl commercial.
You mentioned it. So, and I looked at my hair and I realized I have this weird strand coming off of it.
Yeah, totally. It's hard. We need hair and makeup. Gary, we need a budget increase. We need hair and makeup on the set. So the first thing that happens is your mind usually goes into a little bit of you can go into a panic at step 15, like a little panic. That's what I'm leading up to here. And that panic is like, whoa, I'm going to fall off my life. You know, like everything's getting out of control. Everything's crazy. What's really happened is your mind has gone running off trying to find answers and your heart is feeling abandoned by your mind. So in that state, you're in this kind of chaos state, which we've all seen Libras be in this. So, you know, this is a Grandmaster Libra degree, 15, because it adds to a 6. Anything that adds to a 6 is Grandmaster Libra. And that means, you know, people born as a 15 have figured this out. And not only figured it out, they can pretty much bring 15 out of anything. They can find the peaceful way of anything in life because they found this peaceful way. The rest of us are all learning and trying to get past this moment. So as far as the weather's concerned, it will appear stormy here in the next, as soon as we hit 15, it may appear very stormy for the first, 10 or 12 hours of the step number, because people will be like, where's my coat? Where's my tie? Where is it? They're kind of panicking, looking in different directions, or feeling that panic. The panic you're feeling is that your mind has abandoned your heart. So if your mind is not talking directly to your heart and going, well, what can I do for you right now to make you feel better? Instead of the mind going, we need to fire that person. We need to do this. And just your mind's just running around the room and your heart's in the corner crying. You know what I mean? Like that's what the chaos really is often, that type of thing. So that's the warning. But you will find peace. What happens in 15 is it's just like a nature part of the universe. As soon as the mind shuts up for a minute, and it wakes up, like it like reboots. Sometimes it's a nap. Sometimes people go do something. They find that zen in another place. As soon as the mind remembers it works for the heart and it's not its independent agent, then at some point you realize it's going to be okay.
And you mentioned grandmasters, you mentioned 6 and 15 breaks down to 6, and you mentioned peace. So does grandmaster mean that, yeah, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? We have a question also. When you say grandmaster, what exactly does that mean?
So grandmaster means something different in every sign. So every sign has its grandmaster step numbers. And that's when the number adds up to the same number as the sign's whole number. So the number of Libra's number is 6. That's why Libras are so 60, right? They're very 60 people. And they're all about the sixes. And the sixes is when you have 3 and 3 on each side, basically. It's balanced, 3 and 3 on each side. So if you even think of it from a weight perspective, that would be balanced weight. And it's also balance of 3 and 3 because it's more than 2, because, balancing 4 is actually not a big deal. It's called a table. 4, that's not really balance, right? That's a stable. 4 is stable, like a table. But 6 actually takes some finessing, right? So 6 is the number of balance. And so Librans are the rulers of balance and peace and harmony. And for you to have peace in yourself, you must bring balance to yourself. So your chart will show you how off or on balance you were born to begin with. Some people are born way out of balance from the beginning. They put all their energy on one side of the chart. So the chart's like tilting this way. And so they're always having to apply pressure on this side to, or let up pressure on that side, to, or let up awareness or focus to balance it out. So whenever you hit the number of the sign in the sign, that's a grandmaster degree. And so if someone's born at that degree, they have already learned the way of the sign. They've learned the way. And because they've learned the way, they have special powers that other people don't have who aren't grandmasters. Those special powers are, for instance, the ability to balance, so 6 would be able to balance things bigger than just themselves on the inside. Or maybe a 6 person would be able to balance your health from posture maneuvers, like help another person balance health, or be able to, just balance things that are outside the normal idea of balance. They also have the ability to change what balance is. So a 6 might learn how to balance things, upside down, with a hat on. It sounds goofy, but they can balance in weird situations. They can balance on the fly, on a moving train. I mean, I'm being silly, but when you're a grandmaster, you actually are pushing the envelope of Libra. So grandmasters end up taking Libra as a whole to a whole nother level that Libra wasn't the last generation. They're the progressives. They're the ones that and so signs change over lifetimes. And they're changing right now in a big way. In fact, Libras are changing a lot as far as what we have witnessed in Libras. In fact, astrology from the 70s won't make sense to our grandkids because it won't be the same definition. It'll still be the same marketplace, right? But you won't make a joke about a Libra being a serial monogamist. That's something that only 70s astrology, because Librans have learned how to balance multiple relationships. They don't have to have just one to balance out. They're kind of learning more of I don't want to say polygamy, but it's they have the ability to keep many relationships going at the same time, where the old-fashioned Libra is all about you, the one. And now they're moving into the many and the many. So just because of the Earth getting more complicated, for instance. The third grandmaster is step 24. And step 24 is a master of all relationships there are, and the master of relationship between man and humankind, and the master of relationship between man and God. So the really big relationships, the big ones.
Awesome explanation. And just to reiterate, in case someone missed it, a grandmaster of another sign isn't necessarily going to be a master of balance. It's going to be a master of what that sign's
number and state is. So let's say the opposite of, which is ironic, the opposite of 6 is 9. 6 and 9 go together. And even their glyphs fit together. They become one. 69 becomes one when you turn them into each other. Mm-hmm. Same is true with Aries and Libra. Aries and Libra turn to each other, make a 69. They make this perfect yin-yang. And Aries is the ego, and Libra is the sacrifice or the release, letting go. So, and so in the world of ego, which is what I am, your opposite, you and I represent 69 on camera, you could say our rapport is 69 in action right now. For us, it's all the nines, all to the nines. And so 9, 18, and 27 to add to 9 are the Grandmaster nines. We get shit done.
Yeah, by the way, we were just at the Human Garage event in Miami, and so many people came up to me and were talking about this show. And
Really?
yeah, like it's popular amongst the people. Like they really like the back and forth. Because I'm asking questions. I'm relatively new to all of this and inquisitive, and some of the questions I'm asking you I kind of know, but I'm definitely a beginner at all of this. And so one of the things that a lot of people are talking about, because of what we talked about last week, which was the solar eclipse that happened, I think Wednesday,
Of
right?
last week, yeah. It was
Yeah.
Wednesday night, yeah. Yeah, Wednesday afternoon. Mm-hmm.
Did
Yeah.
do we have anything else to add about that, or is that just completely finished? Like,
No, I
what
mean
people
you'll see the aftermath of that eclipse for six months until the next eclipse. So the aftermath is dominoes keep falling as a result, right? So an eclipse is a commandment basically. It's a commandment kind of from the universe going, this is what's going to happen. And there's two types of eclipses. There's a lunar eclipse, which is basically takes away the normal emotion and gives something else, like shows you the shadow of the emotion. So there's something like, oh, you kind of see what's under the rug in the lunar eclipse, and you're like, oh my God, I can never see again, and so you're suddenly kind of repulsed or pulled away from something. A solar eclipse is the opposite. That's what we had last week, which said, this must happen. It has to happen, which basically saying this huge blast just overwhelms the earth with this commandment. Okay. And so the commandment was, you have got to make yourself, each human has got to put their relationship to their self as more valuable than it has ever been.
Mm-hmm.
You have to value yourself more than you've ever valued yourself again. And value yourself in the context of Libra, which is, there must be something I need to receive if that's the case, not something I need to do. If it was 10 Aries, it would be, there's something you need to do, right? But it was 10 Libra. There's something you need to get for yourself that you don't have, is
Because
what it was
Libra's
saying.
receive.
Right. So it's got a different sign language, literally. But it was a commandment. So what happens is like, you know, so let's say there's something you need to get for yourself. There's something you need to bring into your life. So let's say you bring into your life, I'm going to bring in a meditation practice. And then in meditation, you hear an angel talk. And you're like, oh, wow, the angels talk. And then what do they have to say? And then they're like, we've chosen you. And you're like, what? Chosen me for what? So it's like, it just starts to ricochet, whatever that is. It's like, it creates like a crack in the foundation. And that foundation is the way you've always lived your life. And so the eclipse, it has aftermath for up to 6 months of the consequences of that. And you will look back and go, wow, everything did change from that point. And then it's like, well, because I need to receive this, well, my husband's not giving it to me. So it's not, now there's a marital issue. Now, now we need to go to therapy. Now there's a financial issue. So it just spreads.
I feel like this is such a season of change, and also this is something you have been talking about. Like, we knew it was happening in like September, October, November. There was something that was going to happen, and I see shifts in my personal life, my wife, Human Garage's entire ecosystem is shifting right now, and
Mm-hmm.
and even like the political stuff is like all like it's like getting more pressurized, seeming to like explode.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, it's it's interesting because it's something that we've been expecting. We didn't really know how and what it was gonna look like when it showed up, but it's definitely showing up in a lot of our lives.
Yeah, what you're speaking to, what we had been predicting was Pluto going to 29 Capricorn for the last time in our lifetime. Okay, so the thing about that, Pluto, is a slow-moving planet. It's the zero. It's zero. It's no number. It's the no number. The number that's no number. Which A lot of cultures didn't have zeros. Like Romans didn't have zeros. That's why they had Roman letters. There was no zeros. So they didn't really add up. They didn't get it. Like Romans weren't as smart as you think they were. They actually did not know about zero, right? So zero is a special thing. Zero is zero. You don't know about it until you know about it. Like, it's like, and it's so funny because it represents, yeah.
It needs to be discovered. Like we needed to discover that to know what happened.
We didn't know. We didn't know. Like, so there's like, it's like a double unknowing. And so Pluto is the double unknowing. So Pluto is saying, when Pluto moves through something, it's like, okay, that's it. You need to know that you don't know something. So it's like a double whammy. Like A, you didn't know it. B, you should know this. You know what I mean? Like, and so wherever Pluto is, it's sort of that wake up call. Like, whoa, like, oh my God, right? Like, so Pluto is in Capricorn at 29 degrees. Well, we know how intense Gary is at 29 degrees Sag, right? And 29, 29 is when you go a little too far with it.
Okay.
A little too far. Okay. And too far, the reason it goes too far is because 29 is emotion and ego, right? So if you get into a fight with you.
What does too far for a Capricorn mean?
Well, that's what I'm going to get to. It's like, first of all, it's just to show too far in any other sign. Like too far comes down to, like that question was too far. No, I'm just kidding. So like too far is because the ego and the emotions, 29, ego and emotions, when a fight goes too far with someone you love or anything, it goes too far because the ego is pushing and the emotions were like, you better stop, you better quit doing that, you better. So the emotions get more and more intense and ego gets more and more intense and boom, it goes too far, right? So you have like a spiritual nuclear explosion at 29, things go too far. They get out of hand, right? 29 is when things get out of hand. And things get out of hand because the ego and emotions start bouncing off each other too much and you end up creating something like a spill. Now, it's like because 29 is the final degree, just like 0 is the final degree, 29 and 0, 29 can be two things. It can be go too far. We made it to the moon, too far off the earth. Like, oh my God, we went farther than we've ever gone before. Or it can be like, oh God, we bombed this city and it turns out they actually surrendered. Like, which is what happened with the bomb. So we can go too far. So the thing about 29 is, now that's Pluto at 29. So it's like where the people are not even aware that they should be aware of something goes too far. So you see what I'm saying? Okay, so Pluto at 29 says, because we're not aware that we should be aware of something, something's going to go really too far. Because there ain't anybody even there to realize we're going too far. Right? So this is like this is like where we are the most stupid. Like we are so ignorant. And here's the irony and paradox. What are we ignorant to? We're ignorant to people who have gone too far. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? So in Sag, we don't realize that some philosophers have gone too far. Some teachers have gone too far. And that would be like, let's say Hitler's youth. Like back in Hitler's youth in World War II, the teachers were teaching the kids that Jews were bad. The teachers were teaching the kids that, they should only have one leader, and that's Hitler. The teachers then went too far, right? They took away free will. They went against some of the principles of the universe. They went too far with their power. They got all riled up about Hitler, 29, and they went too far. And the kids didn't even know that. They didn't even know that was even possible. They were innocent. They had no idea that was even possible. So that's a similar situation. That's Sagittarius. Capricorn is with the people who are in power. The people who are currently in power have gone too far, and the people don't even know they've done it.
All right. Yeah, I definitely see that. And that's happening.
100%.
Because 99, and even the people that think they know, we probably
don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Right. And I every time I go down a rabbit hole like that, even I'm like, holy crap, I didn't know that. There's so much that has been hidden, down to the fact that, who knows? I mean, everything down to alien technology, all sorts of stuff that they call conspiracies. I'll tell you right now, everything you call conspiracy will later be labeled a business plan. It was honestly, I mean, and that's what we tell people. I don't believe it
has been.
Yeah, a conspiracy is a business plan among many businesses that all connected with the same plan. That's what a conspiracy is. at the end of the day, you'll find out. And I know because I talk to angels and I talk to people off this planet. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know really for a fact. I mean, I have so much faith in what I receive from that source that I can say, guys, I'm listening to the people who don't know that they don't know. And they're telling me, you know, I mean, like, who do know that they know, like the opposite, who've been here, they had a planet at this stage, who've been through this stage. And so we're at the real explosive moment of realizing just how asleep at the wheel we were, which, by the way, you know, some of the German people felt the same way. I'm not trying to pick on Germans today, by the way. Thank you for being an example for us at this time, because there's been so many times where I'm like, I used to think in school, like, how is it the German people didn't know that he was mass? How did they not know he was mass killing? You know, but the truth is, they did a very good job about hiding it from the people. They made you feel scared if you went off track. Like, there was like a lot of major manipulation going on there. And so when, you know, when who was it? When Eisenhower forced the people of the town village to go through, you know, these crematoriums, the people were freaked out. Like, Germans could not believe, they just could not believe that their government had done this underneath their own eyes. They just could not believe it. Like, and they went through a major depression, the whole country, for a long time, because they just could not believe they did not know. It blew their mind like aliens landing. And unfortunately, folks, we're up for a moment like that. You know, like, just to throw you off balance on a Set 15 day, like, we are, and it doesn't have to be something as horrific, you know, but you're going to be just blown away at how you've been misled into thinking it's completely opposite of what you thought it was. You know, it's kind of it's a moment.
It's like,
I'm not trying to bum people out. I'm just trying to, like, you know, prepare.
I was gonna ask about that. That, like, how do we operate? What would be your suggestion, since you have guidance? We'll call it other dimensional or worldly guidance on how do we, if we don't even know we have a blindfold on, like what emotions or what mind states is best to operate in a time like this?
Okay, you just asked the perfect question, because it's the 11 steps to serious joy. It's like, it's a whole tower of knowledge. The first tower is zero, step zero, I protect. First of all, you say you're going to protect yourself. I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to say right off the bat that if I didn't know, I'm not going to punish myself for not knowing, because there's no way I could have known. So my boundary is I'm not going to punish myself. I'm not going to punish myself for Hitler's mistakes. I'm not going to punish myself for anything. I'm not going to let them punish me. I'm not going to punish me. That's my boundary. No punishment. I didn't know. They didn't know. So you said in the law of where your boundaries are. Before I even know what it is, I'm going to tell myself I'm pardoned. It's not my fault. And that's
Super important.
that's my rule. Step one, I love. And I'm going to love myself, even if people tell me that I'm a jerk for letting it happen in the United States. Like, by the way, the United States is the biggest offender. Like, we're going to be the bad guys in perception of the world. You know, actually, I think the people of the world are a lot more mature than we are. See, we're caught in a bubble and we blame people. But you go to Europe, they're like, we understand, they're Americans, you know. Like,
you guys are teenagers.
They look at us as the kids. Right. Yep. And some of them are maybe like, finally, you know, but like the Germans will say, it's your turn now, you know. You know, but you know, I think actually that's our projection of our stuff, you know, coming out to us. But so I'm going to love myself no matter what. Like, America has to go through its hardship. America has to earn its wings. Like, I'm going to love myself anyways. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. You know, that's the way God built it. This is just a big sandbox where you figure out how to build a better sandcastle. And then step two is I feel. And you say, I'm going to focus on the good feelings, and I'm going to focus on maybe the compassion. So that's what I'm going to focus on. So you basically pre-program the states of awareness. How will I feel when that day comes? How do I plan to feel? How do I plan to take that belief? The belief is based on what your heart feels. So if my heart is going to love myself and my feelings are going to stay positive, then I'm going to believe that I'm going to be positive. Step three, I believe I'm positive. Step four, that means I belong on the side of the solution, not the punishers. You know. Step five is I'm going to only think positive thoughts. I'm going to think about what can happen from this, the good that can come from this. Step six is I'm going to open up and accept all the mistakes we made. I'm going to accept the fact that I could have done better. I'm going to accept the fact that I did, all I cared about was video games and chapstick and the Kardashians the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, I'll accept that. I'll accept that that's where we were. And some people had already been there and some people hadn't, you know. Step 7, I'm gonna forgive myself right now. I forgive myself. I'm already forgiving myself right away. It comes with pre-forgiveness built in, right? Pre-forgiveness built in. Step 8, I'm going to commit to building a better world. So step 8, I commit. 9, I'm going to follow through with what I commit to. I'm going to do what I commit to. Step 10, I'm going to make something valuable out of this nightmare. I'm going to make something better. And step 11, I'm going to become the best version of myself I've ever been. So if you pre-program the steps, the conscious steps of reality, then you will be mostly immune to the public depression. Like you'll go around going, God, I wish a person knew the steps, or I wish a person, you'll be feeling sorry for your brother or sister that like just like had to taught themselves to suffer and punish themselves, thinking that they're going to do better in heaven or do better with the world if they punish themselves, because they're so caught in basically the programming that the Christians did to us, and the Jewish, I love what religion's intentions were, but it was brainwashing also. Like as soon as the few that got in power, they turned all the good stuff that Christ said, all the good stuff that Muhammad said, they turned all of it into control, and we've been under that belief structure. So we have layers of lies, to sort of look at.
It that reminds me of an approach. I think it's humanistic. I forget the actual name, but it essentially, you learn to view yourself as a progression. And what you just explained was a progression, and it's a progression that you're expecting to go through as yourself. And then you mentioned like other countries looking at us as a progression. And so some people are going to understand that another person or another country is going through a progression. And that's ultimately what we get to do when we view ourselves as a progression and we're going through these phases. Then that allows us to look externally and see everything: society, the governments, our friends, our partners. They're all in a progression. And then it, from my Libra mind, allows us to be more in harmony with the ups and downs of their progression and how that impacts us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
from my Aries energy, it means we will progress. Like for me, it's like, and we will progress and we'll make progress, and and I'll buy progressive insurance. Like all that's going to happen.
Okay, so wow, we just went over a whole bunch.
We did. That was deep.
Yeah. And did we cover what's going on?
Well,
one thing
we're going to cover this, what this week's about, but you go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to go into that. But one question I had to do with natural disasters. Because if a natural disaster happens somewhere, and if somebody's in it, and then they're looking on social media, or maybe they don't even have social media because there's no power there, but they're aware that there's somebody else in California who's got sunny weather, it's 78 degrees, and chilling out at the beach. Like, does a natural disaster in somebody's life, like what is that? Is there any meaning to that? Like, is there any meaning why somebody is going through that and then 90% of their country is just having a regular old day?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, first of all, think about the times when it took a ship just 3 months to get across the sea, right? Like in those times, there was no connectedness to one side of the world to the other. Like there was no, part of this ability to be compassionate for, this last hurricane, wasn't even possible. It took 2 months for the letter to get there, right? So they'd already starved to death and died by the time that letter showed up or whatever, so it didn't, that wasn't a possibility. But I think we are all assuming that these are natural disasters when in fact some of them may be unnatural disasters. And so
thank you.
There's a darker layer here. I personally feel the last hurricanes that I've seen in the last 4 years are unnatural disasters. Now that comes from my psychic ability to feel when something is not in alignment with Mother Earth. So I can feel when Mother Earth has cancer. I can just feel it. I can feel I'm saying anyone, but I can feel if I tune in, I can feel if there's something cancer. And what's cancer? Cancer is when the organism is fighting against itself. Like sees itself as the enemy. Starts stabbing itself, starts hurting itself, right? Which is crazy because you were programmed by God to heal yourself, not to destroy yourself. So, cancer, for instance, when I read old books, they don't talk about cancer. Like
Right.
I don't,
Right.
cancer. When did cancer come along? Like it seems like in the 50s. Like if you read like Hemingway, or not, Hemingway's not too soon. Like you read like old stuff like Shakespeare stuff. There's not like thou art not have cancer. Like there was none of that. It's not there.
Right.
It's been something's happened where it came out of nowhere, right? So I don't think the only thing that came out of nowhere is creation. Otherwise it's been man-made, right? Like God hasn't created since creation. Let's put it that way. Like there's maybe, but I don't think we're seeing it. So the thing is like we have to be careful. I think first of all and foremost, if something bad happens to another human being and they didn't ask for it, we should care. Like you didn't ask for that, right? You didn't ask for that hurricane, did you? If you asked for it, well then enjoy, right? But if you didn't ask for it and it happened, something's wrong because reality is based on what we create our reality. The reality we become, what we be is what comes. Now, I do think in natural disasters, okay, natural meaning man isn't causing it, right? Like a volcano. Okay, I don't think yet, Dr. Evil can create a volcano yet. I don't think we have the power. I think they're trying. Actually, I've heard some theories of what they're going to be doing. But like, that's something where it's like, that's something where like usually the volcano warns the people, and people are like, oh, that's weird, like so like and you get three like whirs and you don't leave. Well, the volcano told you, you chose to stay.
Right.
It's yelled as loud as it can, and you guys are gonna stay in Pompeii or whatever. So in that case, you chose to face that. You didn't listen to your elders, and they told you this happened in their lifetime. So in that case, you have chosen this, and you've chosen to be a part of this disaster, and you have actively chosen. If, however, it's just like something just explodes out of nowhere with no warning, right? Or a hurricane that comes off the water and has very little warning, then I believe what's happened in that case, especially with weather, is that the collective population has become depressed. Okay, depressed. Their energy has lowered because we're in a co-creation with Mother Earth. She's giving us food and we're giving her like, gas and poop and, we give back to her like we do. It's weird, but we do. We're in a system with her that we take from her, we give back. We take from her, we give back. Our body comes from her, we give back. And energy too. We don't realize that, but our energy comes back and forth too. We have energy relationship with the earth. And so we give off our anger. If we let our anger out, okay, all that floats up to her and she deals with it. We bury our dead, all that goes down and she deals with it. If we stop that part in an area where like everyone's depressed, they just stop participating. I believe they created a depression. So the air pressure lowers, right? Like so everything lowers that spot, and so I think Mother Earth, starts to accommodate like that. She's got a hole. There's a hole over this city. The whole damn city is depressed, and I think something in the architecture of her will just pull in, the storm to that area. And so I believe that in the old days, human beings pulled in the hurricane. Human beings pulled in the earthquake, right? And mostly it's coming from people refusing to grow and not participating. From what I just analyzed, it's like, so in the old days, yes. Today, no, it's hard. I'll just call it out.
Straight up.
It is all sorts of bad uses of technology. Yeah, I'm sure of it in my heart. I know it.
So let's get realigned to this next week because that's where we're going.
Well, ultimately, today we're moving to step 15, step 14, and step 15. So today you realize that that life is not fair. That's basically it. Like, put it simply, life's not fair. It's not being played fair. And so what are you going to do about it? That's basically what this week is. It's not fair. Now, you allow it to happen. So, FYI, maybe we didn't know we didn't know, but now we do know, so life's not fair. What do you do about it? And so we go through the steps of tomorrow, you sort of, tomorrow night into Wednesday, you sort of pray to connect to your higher self. And I would say, you know what? When you're in Libra, you're in the I receive energy. So you actually in a better place to receive a prayer's answer in Libra than you are almost any of the other signs. You're constantly open. You're receiving all the time. You may not pay attention to what you receive, but you're receiving. I'm receiving a lot of weird stuff right now. Just as an example, I had a friend over who's a mystic, it's the house. And I'm like, I think I hear conversations going on in the house, and I know where they're coming from. I think the ghost, I'm like, but I'm also hearing like music, like orchestra. Am I crazy? Do you hear it? And she goes, no. But she like zoomed in. She goes, but they're saying you're picking up on other dimensions right now, and you're receiving other dimension stuff. And I was like, wow, that makes total sense, because it felt like I was hearing whole on conversations going on. So the point is, you can receive beyond your normal reception. Your hearing is better. So really, we don't have the knowledge to get past this moment, because when you're in the dark, and there's only one source out there that is guaranteed to help you every time you ask. It's not Superman, it's spirit, like it's there. So I recommend on step 16, people actually ask from their heart I want to know what I need to know. Like, help me out of this situation. And by the way, that we're meant to do this in our evolution. We're meant to realize that we have higher powers that we can call to. So this is the time to pitch that. And I will promise you, I can't prove it. You have to try yourself. But I know for every client that does this, they get the answer. You will get the answer. You'll get the answer in a dream. You'll get the answer in a bumper sticker. You get the answer from your partner. You'll get the answer. Sometimes a kid will tell it to you. It's weird how it comes in. It's kind of fun to see how it comes in. It's kind of a game. But it comes in. And it's undeniable. And at that point, you want to deny it. So your next thing is like, oh my God, I can't believe this. It can't be true. So your first thing will be to deny it, right? Because it goes beyond your belief. But we then get to step 17, which is like Wednesday night. And that's when you're going to start to decide and commit. All right, what am I commit to in my relationship to work or this or that, whatever relationship is not working or unfair. And sometimes, by the way, you may find that the relationship is unfair and that you've been the unfair one. But sometimes you realize I've been unfair to this person, right?
Right.
And so it's like, okay, what are you going to do about it? You can make it fair. You're going to sweep under the rug. And then basically on Thursday night, it's like, okay, it's time to get started. It's time to make this happen. All right, I got to make this happen. We're going to go. And then on Friday night, you're like, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna hold it together. And then things get really tense on Saturday. And then you fly above the storm on Sunday, hopefully. All right, so we're sort of fly above the storm to the third chapter. Now, there's two important things that happen that I didn't mention in the story. One is that Jupiter goes direct on Wednesday goes retrograde on Wednesday in the afternoon. So this Wednesday in the afternoon, let's say we're using the airplane. We're trying to fly out of this storm. Wednesday afternoon, all the instruments go out. So Jupiter stops feeding us information on Wednesday. Now you go, oh, so what? Well, you don't realize how Jupiter's been helping you the whole time, because when Jupiter's direct, it's like feeding answers all the time. And people either pay attention or don't pay attention to it, but it's been feeding answers to our mind this whole time because it's in Gemini. So our mind be like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You could do this. I could do this. Like, you don't even realize that answers have been coming immediately to you. Unless you pay attention to consciousness like I do, you don't realize that people have been getting answers really quickly and ideas really quickly since the end of May. Tons of ideas. And we could do this, and we could do that, and this can happen. Right? So suddenly all these positive ideas of what we could do goes silent. All right? So suddenly it's like, well, I don't hear anything. And so what that feels like on the inside is you start losing hope, because a lot of the hope was being supported by this stream of things, alternative things that you could do. Well, we could do this, we could do this. Now suddenly there's no voice saying, did you know this is possible? Did you know that was possible? Right? What it may mean in your life is that, and it's not going to be me this time, but sometimes you find that someone who's been a good source of information is gone. Like someone you've been relying on, a lawyer or a doctor, because they got sick or they're in the hospital. So some sort of information goes. So that's a huge challenge that in this time is scary, right? Like the instrument panel goes out on the plane. Then what happens is on Thursday, the next day, Pluto at 29 goes direct. See, Pluto has been moving backwards this whole time. So basically, Pluto's been going, you better stop this. I'm going to do shit. You bet. I'm telling you, you better stop. You better stop. It's moving backwards. And when Pluto goes direct, it's like, that's it. So Pluto starts storming in energetically, which means we feel a shift of tides, like, whoa, so it is actually hurricane making. This, Jupiter and Pluto switching directions a day apart, that is definitely like a ripple right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a ripple that smacks us, right? Like in 1-2. So we do get a 1-2 SPAC right when we're supposed to decide and turn in our homework. So what that means is you're not going to feel like yourself. You're not going to feel like yourself when you have to make the decision. You're just going to feel off. That's how I think the practical way to look at it is like the practical way to look at it is I just wasn't feeling myself. So what that is sort of like in the journey, the hero of the story, which is you, needs to remember what they have learned and needs to go inside them and go, okay, I've been learning for the last 6 months. Pluto and Jupiter were basically going the same direction for about 6 months, and then they just switched. So what have I learned in this time? And the truth is you have been told the answer already. You have. You have been told the answer already. You've seen it in your life. You've seen it in examples. You may not have paid attention. You may not have memorized it. You may not have written down the phone number, when you saw the commercial, but you have seen it. So we really are blessed by God in the sense that it's Jupiter. There's a planet that's just always sprinkling knowledge to Earth, always. I mean, it takes breaks twice a year, once a year in a retrograde. But I don't know other planet systems that have that, but it's not built into as a necessary. Basically, imagine a world without human garage, because Gary's a Grandmaster 29 Sag, and he had a vision of like telling the world everything he knows. He was like, I want to tell him everything I know about the body and everything. What about this? And he doesn't get paid for it. And he doesn't, it's his heart wants to give it. And so the thing is, when you take that away for a moment, not human garage, but someone really nice who's telling you, you are left alone to figure it out on your own. And so basically that's what's going to happen. Shit's going to hit the fan, and you're going to be left alone to figure it out on your own. Basically Wednesday and Thursday. Oh, excuse me, is Wednesday and Friday. I had one day off, Wednesday and Friday.
Okay, and then you mentioned tomorrow, though, is a really good day to step 16 to pray and receive.
I would pray, yeah. I think everyone should pray for the world and yeah, because the thing is the rule is God told the angels they have to ask. They have to ask. They have to ask. So this idea of the angel came in and saved me, that's because before you went down to Earth, you asked them to do that. They basically said to you, would you like us to save you if you're about to die? And that was like, if you're about to be interrupted, or do you want just to reboot? So, why do people die in a car accident and others don't? Because the ones who didn't die, who had that near-death experience, from what I understand, from my people tell me, they got wise enough to go ask the angels, like, don't, please just come in, fix it if I go off course. Or sometimes they ask the angels too to end it. Mm-hmm. Like if I go off course again, I become a drug addict again, just end it. Just pull me out and start over again. So like there's a pre-filed request in there, right? So the point is like you will not be helped by anything supernatural. Even evil won't come in until you ask them. Even evil needs your permission. Right. So anyways, the point is if you don't ask tomorrow, which is the best day to get the signal and the best day to hear, then, you didn't ask for help.
I feel like people have a feeling of like what you were just talking about. If like some people expect the help, some people know to ask, some people know they're alone. Some people are almost expecting to die young, so it's like there's something still encoded in us from some other time or some other place where we do have some sort of touch to the pulse of what you're speaking to.
I agree. And I know, like for mine, give you examples. Like there was a time when I became a fighter for Christianity, so I became a Christian fighter, and then so I fought. I killed in the name of Jesus. So I killed in the name of Jesus, and Jesus. I got up there, and Jesus was like, seriously, that was good. But I realized, oh my God, I killed in the name of So it didn't dawn on me, until. So then at that point, I know the next life, I pretty much was like, God, I'm not even going to ask you. I'm just going to show you how good I am. So I had this attitude like, I'm not even going to ask. I'm going to show you. I'm going to be a good boy. So I put in this instruction like, I'm going to be a good boy and I'll show you. I don't even want you to do anything. Let me show you how good I am. Well, unfortunately, I did show him how good I was, and I started to go back to the side of doing good stuff, but I never removed that policy of I'm not going to ask. And so I didn't ask for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And it was until this lifetime, plus my psychic awareness coming on, I was like, and then people saying, I never asked for help. I'm an arrogant asshole. Like, why didn't you ask for help? So friends and people around me are like, you're so, we try to help you. You don't let us. And I realized, oh my God, I'm still trying to prove to God I can do it. And I forgot, so I had to undo that. So not only does it lasts between lifetimes until you stop it.
That's a good reminder.
Which is why I think of those positions you're talking about. Some people do, some people don't. They're living off of a subconscious decision. They haven't looked at again.
Yeah. So I want to respect your time in case you have any appointments. Do we have to wrap up? I know there's forever you can talk about this. And guys, Chris is going to be back on Thursday where you can get more information, even ask him questions. But did we cover everything that needs to be covered for the people for now, or where can they find out more information if they need to get it if we haven't?
So, you can always find out for free, SiriusStar.com, like what's going on with the weather. And there's a free, it's going to be called now the daily mini scope. Like it could be a mini scope instead of daily download, but we give a daily mini scope on just what's going on. So if anything, you've been like sort of warned or whatever, like, but if you want to get to your power, that's what our service is about. What I will just underscore again is the next 2 days really starts tonight and it ends Wednesday morning. It's really about asking and listening. And remember, your answers will come through Ra. It will come through Gary. They'll be saying something and you'll get goosebumps. Goosebumps are the angels leaning into your field telling you, uh-huh. So you even have your angel will lean into your field and like poke you when the answer is right. Like, So, goosebumps, chills, heat wave, that is the universe. That's your soul going, this is the right answer. So there's communication built in. In the next 2 days, pay attention.
That
pay attention.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight that too. So I'm glad that you think that's important. Definitely, definitely pay attention and ask and make sure that you're listening.
Because we don't know what we don't know.
And that part too, which is an amazing part of this.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know. So, and we have to wake up to that idea. If you just admit that you don't know what you don't know, you start asking for it to come in.
Right.
Because again, they're not going to tell you something if you don't ask them.
Right.
So
make space.
So we'll come back and see what happened, Ra.
That's
if we're alive. No.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
If we last that long.
Yeah, we'll be okay. Yeah.
All right, Christopher.
Thanks, everyone. Always a pleasure, Ra. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.